Yay! Pop-Up finally made it to the costume party! Pop-Up from Visit was in this. So I just saw it. He finally made it to the costume party.
That Pop-Up, right, yeah.
Because there was that gagger's like, I'm going to the costume party. And he was in this with basically like he had the little bow tie and everything. So, I mean, it technically was, except there was a tux. It wasn't like the same tux or anything, but I still had to say, I just had to say, he finally made it to the costume party.
I finally got that.
Yeah. So, we just came from Steven Spielberg's 27th film, Bridge of Spies.
And it was wonderful!
It was good!
Yeah.
It was wonderful!
Although I have to say, this film has been marketed as a Cold War spy thriller. This really isn't a thriller.
I didn't see that in the trailers.
It's totally like a courtroom movie.
Yeah,
I would say that, I would say this is comparable with Lincoln. The last film that Spielberg directed, other than Tintin, but
yeah, I actually never saw that in the trailers. I didn't see a Cold War spy movie. I saw very much a spy, and I definitely saw a very courtroom-esque because it was about a lawyer, so I knew it was definitely going to take a different look at the Cold War than just spies walking because there's a show on FX, The Americans, about a Russian spies during the Cold War. It's a really good show, but it's just like this shows like I'm glad that this, because most stuff about the Cold War has always got to be about the spies. This one sort of shows the spies, but it's more about this courtroom, and I always knew that even from the trailers. I felt the trailer, it was marketed pretty well from the trailer, but yeah.
I still do remember though, before this movie was titled, it was listed as Untitled Cold War Spy Thriller. So all right, so
what would you say was as good as Lincoln? Did you say that?
I haven't seen
I would say it's comparable to Lincoln. It's the same kind of it has I'd say it's comparable in terms of the politics and stuff in it.
Yeah, I thought it was better than Lincoln though, because I had a big problem with Lincoln, especially near the end. I didn't like they had to show the whole Lincoln's death thing. I thought that was they didn't actually show him get shot. I just felt that was kind of unnecessary because everyone knows Lincoln died. So this one, since not many people knew the story, it wasn't like, oh, don't show this happened, blah blah. So I guess I could resonate a bit more with this in a way. Although I still like Lincoln, I just had my little problems with it.
Oh
yeah, in the same way that I think this film was kind of misleading in the way that it was marketed. In the same way, Lincoln, when you hear the title, you think that it's a biopic, but really it's not. The movie really should have been called The 13th Amendment.
Yeah.
All right. So, but so for the most part, I liked this film. I was really invested in the first half before Abel leaves for a while. After that, I kind of started to get a little bored, but then the last 15 minutes of the movie, great.
I actually was not. I was actually not like that at all. I was actually interested from start to finish. There was never a part where I was can we go now or something, or how are you gonna wrap this up? There was never, even like at the part where they're starting the movie was almost coming to a close. There was a little part where I'm like, oh, never mind, because then it did kind of something important did sort of happen, because it was showing like him on the whole, because that whole part on the train was important. Like I felt every scene in this movie for me at least, I felt every scene in this movie was important. There was never a part where it felt like, well, this is unnecessary. Maybe the part with the kid showing his kid and the duck and cover thing, maybe that. But I guess that was kind of like showing his son, like he was kind of like, maybe I don't know, maybe I have to rewatch this or something, but I don't know, but. I never felt, for the most part, this is like 12 Years a Slave also. Like, I felt that same way with 12 Years a Slave. It's a really long movie, but there's never a part where I was like, oh my god, can you wrap this up? Because even like movies that I like, but when I first saw that, I was like, can they wrap, like Wolf of Wall Street was like another one. Like, I love that movie, but there was a point where I was like, okay, this is getting kind of boring. Can we move on?
Yeah.
Tom Hanks is amazing in this.
Yeah. I think it's one of his best performances.
Definitely.
Although I think the honors go to Mark Rylance as Abel.
Oh,
I think he's got a great shot at getting a Oscar nomination.
You mean the guy, the German? I meant the supposed Russian.
Yeah.
Spy?
Yeah, Donovan's client.
Yeah, I liked him. He was great. He was just, especially just the character too. He's like, I love how he just was never worried about death. He's just like, nah, should I be?
No,
would
he asked,
would it
help?
Would it help if I was?
And he knows it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought everyone was like great in this. I never really saw that. And I've totally forgot the woman who played Tom Hanks' wife was the mother in Goosebumps. She was the when I was like
same day,
my God,
Amy Ryan.
her.
Yeah. And also I couldn't quite realize who this was until the credits, but Alan Alda is also in it.
Yeah,
the guy who was in The Longest Ride.
He's in a bunch of stuff. He's a great actor. He doesn't.
Yeah.
I've never seen The Longest Ride, so I can't tell you anything about that. But
he's great in The Longest Ride too. Yeah.
Well, because they always get like that's why I've always heard like they always in Nicholas Sparks movies they always get at least one good actor, but the movie's always not great or something. I don't know. I haven't seen Longest Ride, so I'm not going to say anything about it. Yeah. I don't like to talk bad about movies I haven't seen usually.
What I think this movie does a really great job at is portraying sort of the paranoia of America.
Mm.
How everyone except almost everyone was just you know, if given the option they probably would have just said, just why not even try him,
Yeah, I felt really bad for Tom Hanks at the beginning because he was like, he's trying to get this guy a fair trial, but no one would because he kept saying all these things that would if he was an American citizen, they would have been like, oh, okay, well, I guess we got to do that then. But since he wasn't, they're like, he's not an American.
Not only
citizen.
that,
he
he's
don't have to do that.
To them, he was part of the enemy.
Yeah, I know, because there was like that scene where after Tom Hanks was like after he said like we should be hanging him because when he actually got him to be arrested instead, it was like we should be. Why aren't we hanging him?
Imprisoned.
There's
a difference.
Sorry.
Actually, the more I think about it, the more I think I'm liking this movie. I don't know. It might be kind of one of those movies that starts off with me like, that was good, and then maybe as a few days go by, I start to think more about it, and it gets better. The
priorities of the American government, they'd be willing to let some innocent rot in a foreign prison.
But also, I just there's so many good heart-rent you're on the edge of your seat moments, and it wasn't like how typical edge of your seat moments like, oh my God, are they gonna get caught? Are they gonna die? Like Argo, that was another where you're on the edge of your seat, but that's because you're afraid they're gonna get shot or caught or something like that. And this you're on the edge of your seat because you want to they're not gonna bring the guy over because he's trying to save two people. He's trying to save this student guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because same thing with when I was talking about how I never felt any scene. For me, I never felt that there was any scene that felt out of place. There was one scene where I was at first I was like, what's this scene got to do with anything? When that one American student was getting arrested, but then later on, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Okay, that's why and then it was like that scene was like, okay, never mind, I can forgive that scene later. But I think this is definitely. Not only I think one of my favorite. This is probably one of my favorite Spielberg films, and probably I think one of my favorite films of this year. Definitely,
it's up there for me.
Yeah,
I like this more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
I was really when I.
Oh, I forgot. My favorite scene is probably the beginning because there's barely any dialogue. You can basically see what's going on with no dialogue. It's just him walking, and there's not even music either. Because there's later on at the end of this movie, it's all it's just music. I mean, not saying I hate Thomas. I love Thomas Newman, and I think his score was great. It's just there was no music either. It was just just this. You see this spy guy kind of walking around doing all this stuff, and it was just really intense because you're wondering what's going on and all that. It was really good.
Yeah,
but that scene was great.
I'm not sure if I can even find a part I did not like.
I mean, if I really look at this, I could probably find some flaws, but for the most part, I didn't really have any.
Yeah. I just wasn't as interested in the second half as much as the first, other than the last 15 minutes. So...
like I said, I thought everything kind of made a point, because it was I felt the second half was really showing him really trying to get this, how hard it was for him, especially when they first show him trying to walk to all these places the first time. It shows how hard it is, because it's showing his struggle and how to get everything done, and it's just really interesting. And also I kind of not saying like they should always make, but they should, because they're at the end they kind of talk about how Tom Hanks eventually they use him to free a bunch of prisoners during the Cuban Missile Crisis. I kind of want to see that too. I kind of want to see like a sequel to this and see him doing that. That'd be kind of cool, or make another movie about it or something like that. That'd be kind of cool to see how hard he tried to fight for them too.
Another thing about the movie, though, this is a reoccurring issue in a lot of 50s and 60s dramas. The color of the film looks really washed out and rather dull.
I never noticed that. Usually, I mean, sometimes I can.
I mean, maybe maybe it has to do with the setting. I don't know, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think I've seen some films set in this era that look that are better looking.
I didn't have any problem. I thought there were so many like scenes where I'm just like, I'm gonna remember that scene forever. I'm gonna remember that scene forever. Like, I never, I remember Nostalgia Critic's review of Mad Max Fury Road, and he talked about how you don't remember any lines from the other Mad Max films or something like that. But I don't remember dialogue all that well. I remember sequences more than I remember pictures and things that happen in a movie more than dialogue. I'm not a dialogue guy. Some people are, like, I know, like you guys can probably remember dialogue from your favorite movie. I can remember only if I've seen the movie a bunch of times or something like that, then I can remember the line. But for the most part, I'm a very visual person, and this movie has a lot of scenes that are gonna go like right into my head.
Yeah. So I'm just not quite as into to films that are like really all about talking and talking about politics and stuff. I mean, because when it's like a Richard Linklater film, those are movies where it's just people who are talking about themselves and talking about life in general. And I guess that's the kind of dialogue that I'm more interested in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also not usually a big fan of political stuff. It depends on the thing. Like, I didn't like I know a lot of people love Michael Clayton. I didn't. I thought that was boring. And it's same thing with, I'm comparing this to like Michael Clayton, and this movie, everyone felt like a real person. Like, everyone smiled sometimes, or they would make crack jokes, something like that. And Michael Clayton, they never did. Michael Clayton was always like, everyone was super serious all the time. No one smiled or did anything. It was just super serious all the time. This one wasn't. This one was more fun. I mean, it had some funny moments, and it wasn't always serious all the time. Like, because that's not what real life isn't always serious. Sometimes something funny will happen unexpectedly, or someone will say something kind of funny. Not everyone's like this all the time. I'm super serious. I mean, there are some people who are like that, but most people aren't like that. So
this is the first time in a while that we've had an audience who applauded at the end.
Well, so. I've seen. I think I went to, I forgot, one movie without you guys. I saw people clapping. I don't remember which one it was.
Actually, I don't think I've got anything else left.
I don't think I do either. So.
Definitely wasn't Sicario. No one would clap at that movie, because that movie makes you feel awful at the end. So that's a bad movie or anything. But let's get to the rating. Our thoughts or ratings or whatever.
So I give this at least a B. This might grow on me more, but for right now, it's a really strong B.
I give this an A, man.
All right.
It's a good movie, worthy of at least 1 or 2 Academy Awards.
Yeah.
You know? Not sure which ones, but
gotta check out goldderby.com and see what it's up for. They only have 9 nominations you're able to predict right now. There's still 15 more.
Yeah. Then this one an A+. Actually, I really, really like this film, and
I like
it's definitely because I mean, I'm not the biggest like Spielberg fan, but I'm not saying I hate his movies. I love his movies, but I'm not like the biggest fan. Like, it's not like if I see a movie from his, I won't just like it because it's Spielberg or something like that. So yeah, it's definitely. But yeah, I definitely really like this one, and I forgot the Coen Brothers wrote this too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I guess they wrote the funny stuff, I guess, or some of the other stuff. But yeah, because they can write really good stuff too. But yeah, I forgot that they wrote. I keep forgetting that they write this, but yeah, they do, and they did. I think the script was great, and everything was just. pretty good. And this movie also makes me like made me. I said this to John. No, during that one scene where that one CIA guy was talking to him. Note to self: don't mess with Tom Hanks because he just was not gonna take. Because that guy kept saying like, "Let me see, sir." He didn't like that at all. So I was like, "Yeah, do not mess." Just Tom. If Tom Hanks does not like something, do not say it to him. He's not gonna take it.
Yeah. So I will say that this, like with really good movies that I've given an A+, they've always left me like they've always stayed with me. Like I've said before, Wolf Children is one of my all-time favorite movies, and yeah, it's worth watching. As I said before,
I don't know. I'd probably give Wolf Children a B or something. B+.
This one didn't. I give this an A, not an A+, because it did not leave me that sort of feeling I get when I see a movie I really, really love. It always leaves me with a feeling of. I can't really describe it, but yeah.
So, speaking of the Coen brothers,
trailers, new ones. These ones I've seen. Well, I've seen all these, but you guys haven't seen them. We haven't talked about them here, so.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of any of the new ones. So, Coen brothers' latest movie is Hail Caesar.
Yeah, that movie. I want to see. It looks funny, but I'm a little nervous because they've had some bad there's a really bad movie they made, Lady Killers, which was a comedy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, luckily I've liked most of their comedies. Like I liked The Big Lebowski. I liked Intolerable Cruelty. I also really liked Burn After Reading. So I like most of their comedies. It's just that they're. I guess I'm a little nervous because hopefully it's not The Lady Killers. Hopefully it's a little better than that because they also directed that one too. But it looks interesting to me. I like George Clooney. I love that scene where he forgets his line. He's like, oh.
That looks really good.
Yeah.
I don't want to see.
I still gotta watch The Big Lebowski again.
You have
I mean, I saw the movie once. Didn't really like it as I was watching it, but then when the final monologue from Sam Elliott comes, I started to kind of rethink it, and I think it might have the same impact that it does on me as it did on the critics, because when The Big Lebowski first came out, it got trashed by critics, but it's one of those movies like 2001.
You start thinking.
Yeah.
It really makes you think.
There's a lot of movies, even like movies that people still consider bad, like Showgirls. The critics are like now, like, oh, it might be a little better than we thought.
What else?
We had the one called Race.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. That one looks the trailer before, but yeah, that one looks good. I think it looks interesting. Yeah. It's another sort of like true story thing, but yeah, it looks really good.
You get the title? It's a movie about a race, and it's a movie apparently about racial issues.
Sort of. I bet it's more than just them racing, though. But I also kind of like that. Yeah. It's kind of a World War II. Well, sort of. I think it's pre-World War II. I don't think World War II's actually happened yet, because I think the Nazis are still kind of in control before, like, everyone was in a war. I'm not sure, anyways. But
so that comes out in February. I can't remember. Was that a Disney movie? Because Disney seems to be bringing out a sports movie with about the same formula once a year.
I don't think so. I don't think that was Disney. It might have been one of their other production houses or something like that. Because they own a couple adult stuff like Touchstone and stuff. They own some adult stuff, and you never know it was Disney until like you really look it up. Like, what? Disney owns that?
Yeah. Oh. And then there was the very first one, Love the Coopers.
Oh, I've seen that one too. I don't like it. It's just another, and it says from the producers of Family Stone, which is another comedy that takes place on Christmas with a family. I've seen so many of those. I'm just like, I'm done. I haven't actually seen them, but there's so many of those. That's why I want to see Krampus, because Krampus looks like it's taking that formula and then like doing something different with it. Like, but it's just there's so many of these like family on the holidays. Oh, families they're really like this on the holidays. They don't get along, or something. It's just goofy. It just looks. I mean, it looks like it has some funny moments, but then again, a lot of these have funny moments.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's connected to. I can't believe I remember this movie, The Big Wedding, from 2013. It has Diane Keaton and Amanda Seyfried in it.
Yeah.
So,
Except
I
De
don't
Niro
know.
and a bunch of other people.
That's true.
Yeah. John Goodman is also in it.
I don't think he was in Big Wedding, actually.
Yeah, he was, and Robert De Niro was in that, and Robin Williams was too. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so no, that's all for trailers. So next,
I forgot there was one I thought you guys did. The Revenant. There was a new Revenant trailer. You see that one already?
Yeah, we've seen that one.
Yeah, we saw that.
But that's the new one though. You
sure it's new? Because I know I've seen it before.
One. It's the second trailer. I think you probably saw it during Sicario. Because it's the second trailer that we haven't talked. We've only talked about the first trailer. We never talked about the second one because it's the new one where they actually explain the story. The first one was just kind of that him running and stuff and all that. It didn't really show what the story was. Okay. So it looks interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely, especially now that we get to see the story. Though it looks like it spoils a little too much, just a little bit, not too bad, but. Yeah.
I really wish they would stop doing a wider release for those movies in January, though, because. That's after I put together my top 10 of the year list, and if that movie is good enough for the top 10 of the year, I kind of want to put it on there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I mean, it counts as a 2015 film because it's getting a limited release in December.
Yeah, like I probably would have put like a bunch of movies that came out in January, like
yeah.
Oh my.
Alright, so next week we got Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension, Gem and the Holograms, and The Last Witch Hunter. I think that's probably all we'll do next week.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. October 23rd is my mom's birthday, so we'll probably be doing Saturday again. Yeah, alright, so once again, to any Gem fans out there, I'm watching some of the TV series, so I'm going into this movie with...
Okay.
What do you think of the series? I just want to kind of get your 2 cents.
It's 80s cheese, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with that said, I'm aware that the fans are out there, so that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious myself actually to see it now because I want to see, like, even though I haven't seen the show, I kind of want to just check it out and see what it's like, anyways, just to see for myself.
Although what I do know that they definitely change, and I know this is going to tick a lot of fans off, Eric Raymond from the show is now Erica Raymond. Yeah, she's a woman in this movie.
I don't think that really bugs people too much because I know about that, but I think also supposedly in the original series, Jem's dad is in charge of a company, but in this is like none of his technology actually worked.
Yeah.
But then again, I guess that's more realistic, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. And from what it appears, Synergy is just a little robot in the movie.
Yeah. I guess it's more effective for now. I don't know.
I kind of have a feeling this might be this year's Ninja Turtles, though. It started out, everyone was hating it, and it came with kind of mixed reception from fans of the show. I mean, some were saying it was a terrible representation, while others were saying it's their childhood reborn. Yeah.
I mean, I probably might, even if I enjoy the movie, I probably won't like the music so much that they do.
Yeah,
are we ready to...
It's not going to be 80s music, of course. This is...
I mean, it makes sense.
We'll get to that more next week when we see it. Yeah. Alright, so...
I will probably not be there.
Alright.
Running out of funds.
Yeah, so...
I might be.
So, go watch Bridge of Spies. It's worth watching at least once.
Definitely.
Yeah.